Hello dear friends, welcome back to the channel, or welcome into the channel if this is your first time here. So glad to have you. I normally do a series here called Developer Diaries for my big project, the Rended Wall world setting for tabletop role-playing games. However, I'm going to be doing something a little different today. I found a lot of just joy and fun in doing this kind of little side project, and I wanted to share it with everyone. I hope you all do find a little bit of fun in this as well. So I know that other game masters or tabletop players have done this before, where you take a figure from pop culture and you create a D&D character sheet to use that character in a role-playing game setting. So that's what I've done. I've made a series of character sheets for a bunch of pop culture figures from movies, games, books, all over the place, and made character sheets for them for use in Dungeons and Dragons, or Pathfinder, or Vampire the Masquerade, or Call of Cthulhu, depending on what character it is. We might even, now that I've started running a Fallout campaign online, I might even be making some character sheets for characters from the Fallout TV show. If people appreciate this series and really want to see something like that, I would love to do that as well. So welcome to episode 1 of Pop Culture Character Sheets. Today we're going to be making a character sheet for one Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride. So very, very talented fencer and swordsman. I know the fencing scenes in The Princess Bride are still lauded to this day for being just amazingly choreographed and performed by Mandy Patinkin and Carrie Elwes. They did a fantastic job doing some of those fight scenes together. And it's just a wonderful character overall. A lot of charm and personality that Mandy Patinkin and director Rob Reiner brought into this character, and then obviously created by William Goldman in the original novel. So lots of credit to those original creators of this character. But we're going to be putting him into Dungeons and Dragons today. So first and foremost, obviously we just fill in his name up here at the top, Inigo Montoya. As a background, everybody knows his background, so I just like to include a little bit of a quote. Everyone knows the infamous quote, you know, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya," etc., etc. But however, what's a different one that might I don't know, maybe unique to this character? I always appreciate his friendship with Fezzik, and I will just put you've a great gift for Ron. Yes, some of the time. And so he is a human. We will run into some of these characters from pop culture, obviously not human, so we'll be making that different for each one. But and then as a subclass, I made him a fencer. I know I don't think that's an official subclass in D&D, but that is absolutely who Inigo is, so we will make him that. I am making a lot of these characters at least level 3 or usually level 5 to really allow those few level ups to really blossom out a lot of the character's abilities and bring them more to life. So we're making Inigo a level 5 fighter. So for his hit dice, he will have 5d10 hit dice. Those are used as a pool for healing during a rest, or during what ability fighters have called Second Wind. And so actually I might, now that we're talking about it, I might actually just pull in and paste in Second Wind into his one of his abilities. So we will see here that, as a bonus action, he can use some of those hit dice to heal himself, and then if he uses a certain number, he will run out and need to recharge his abilities by resting. So there's that. As a proficiency bonus, just kind of all around, at some things that are at a value that's added to a lot of ability checks in D&D, is just going to be a generic proficiency bonus at level 5. He's going to have a +3, so that's pretty decent. And then for his stats, I rolled for his stats. I got a nice spread. I really did. So I got a 9, an 11, a 12, 2 14s and an 18. So we are able to throw those in different places. So for strength, I don't feel that Inigo's super strong, but he's a good athlete at least. So that will come into play when we start going over some of the saving throws for specific skills like athletics. But for right now, we're just putting in values and modifiers. So with a strength of 11 for a 10 and 11 value, he doesn't get any modifier whatsoever. So we're just going to put a +0 there. Now for dexterity, though, he's a very dexterous person. So I gave him that 18 in dexterity, meaning he has a +4. So for each 2 that you go up, you get a +1 for your modifier. So at 18, he's going to get from 10 to 12 is +1, 12 to 14 is another, etc., etc. So at 18, you get a +4. Pretty decent. And then for his constitution, I gave him 14. And one of those 14s, I thought that would give him, he's seen a lot, he's been through a lot, and I think he's a pretty hardy fellow. So for his intelligence, I did put that 9 in his intelligence. And then for wisdom, I gave him his 12. So he's more world-wise than brain smart, I would say. It's a good way of describing Inigo. But that is that. And then for charisma, I gave him that other 14 in that charisma because he is a very charming fellow. So now what we're going to do is go through some of the things that we've checked as his specific skills that he is proficient in. So I did give him saving throws tagged as saving throws in both strength and constitution because I do feel like he is a very, as I said, a very hardy person that has been through a lot of stuff. And then as far as specific abilities, I gave him, let's see here, so we tagged athletics, obviously very athletic person, acrobatics, and some stealth as well. Then I gave him some persuasion and perception and survival. All of those are tagged. So those are going to get his proficiency bonus added to the normal modifier amounts. So we can go down here and kind of just see what that means. So normally those would be +0s, but instead they're going to be +3s because they got checked. He will have a +4 regular saving throw in dexterity and in sleight of hand, but then in acrobatics he's going to get that bonus. So he'll have 7 and stealth. So there, and then for his saving throw and constitution he'll get a +5, which is really great. Starting at the top here, though, because of that penalty, he's between 8 and 9, you get a -1 penalty to your stuff. So what we're going to do is just come down here and mark a -1 for his kind of brainy skills like history and investigation, religion. All of those things just don't really super fit with who Inigo is as a character. However, we did give him a couple of bonuses here in perception and survival because he's been through a lot. He gets attacked by the Count, he gets stabbed several times and still comes back and gets his revenge in the end. So he survives a lot. So let's reflect that on his character sheet. Charisma, he's a pretty charming person, but not over the top. However, he is able to persuade, sometimes with the help of his friend Fezzik, I will admit, but he is able to persuade people to come around, talking his way into Miracle Max's hut. It's stuff like that. So I want to reflect that as well. So that gives us a good spread of abilities and skills to reflect kind of who Inigo is as a character. Now when we move over here to the other side, we will start adding in some of his abilities and things like that. We'll start first and foremost with his armor training. I think we're just going to stick with light because I know as a fighter, I think you do naturally get proficiency in more than that. But to reflect kind of Inigo's character, I can't see him wearing chainmail, definitely not a big suit of armor, so I don't think medium or heavy armor really reflects who he is. And as a fencer, he's not using a shield, so I don't think that any of those things would really reflect his character necessarily. But we will give him training to use a wide variety of weapons. So we'll give him training in both martial and simple weapons. So simple weapons would be very basic implements, like a woodcutter's axe or a dagger or something like that. And then martial weapons would be more like the long sword or the rapier, things like that. And for tools, I mean, Inigo is mentioned several times as having a struggle with alcohol, but we can reflect that just very basically with brewer's tools, and then characters obviously can play that side of his character to whatever extent they are comfortable with, because that can be a very sensitive topic. We want to respect that. Coming back up to the other topics up here, though, as a just kind of normal grown adult human, he's going to be a medium size, and most characters will also have a basic speed of 30. They can move 30 feet per round in combat, and then some classes and races like elves might get a higher speed than that. So for initiative, he's going to have a +6. Wait, why did I give him a plus? I don't think that's accurate, actually. I think that needs to be +4 because it's yep. So initiative is your base, just kind of D20 roll to reflect what order you enter combat in. So for initiative, you get to add your dexterity bonus to that. If you're extra dexterous, you are more prepared for battle, and they want to reflect that there. So for initiative, he would get a +4 added onto that. And then for his passive perception, I think that one is going to be 10 plus, or is it 8? You know what? Let's take a moment. Let's see. We can clarify this. Yeah, 10 plus your wisdom plus perception proficiency bonus. So 10 plus wisdom is going to be +1, 11 plus perception proficiency bonus is +4. So he's going to actually have a passive perception of 15. Which is pretty impressive. He's going to notice a lot of stuff in his environment. Now, for species traits, I have a lot of stuff on this character sheet to try and kind of reflect Inigo well as a character. And so some of these are not going to necessarily reflect the official D&D like species traits. However, I'm mushing them all together to make them all fit onto the character sheet. But we'll start with humans are resourceful as a trait in D&D, which means that they gain heroic inspiration. They can roll a dice for a skill check twice and take the highest result. They can choose whichever one they want throughout their session to use that heroic inspiration, almost like a boost, to give themselves a boost. And anytime they do a long rest, they get to use that. So then we also have, as a level 5 fighter, Inigo also gets an extra attack on his rounds. So when he chooses to attack with his sword, he can attack twice instead of once. So that means he is extremely formidable on the battlefield as a fencer with that sword of his. And then finally, we are going to add in initiative swap. So he, because of that high dexterity, we're going to give him the option to swap his initiative roll at the beginning of battle with one of his teammates if the teammate is also willing to do so. Meaning that, Inigo can go first, or he can plan a better tactic and wait and let the other person go first. So good tactical options there. Speaking of tactics, I gave him a couple of tactical feats or abilities. So those are going to be Tactical Mind and Tactical Shift. We're going to add that in on this little block right here. And that's, I feel like That's pretty small, so I apologize for the tininess of the print there. But with Tactical Mind, he can choose to use one of his hit dice instead of healing to boost one of his ability checks, which is really awesome. And then Tactical Shift, instead of Second Wind, or not, instead of when he uses his Second Wind, he can choose to move up to a certain amount, up to half his speed, which is 15 feet, without provoking opportunity attacks. So enemies won't be able to swipe at him as he moves around the battlefield. So good kind of tactical options there. And then up here, we're gonna add in, I gave him the D&D Battle Master option. So essentially he's gonna have a lot of stuff on his character sheet that's gonna reflect very skilled movement and abilities with his weapon. So he's going to have things like, well, he has a certain number of dice that he'll be able to use. So he can't do this all the time, but he can disarm an opponent, or he can evade, disengage from the opponent without endangering himself. And then finally I gave him something called Lunging Attack, which is just as it sounds. Just as it sounds, you can use some of those special die to thrust in and attack his opponent very swiftly, like that. So let's see if I can make this just a teeny bit bigger for y'all. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Boost that up for you to be able to read that just a teeny bit easier. Okay, so for his weapon and damage options, so we gave him his Heirloom Rapier, which is that fancy fencing sword. And then as an attack bonus, he gets his proficiency plus his dexterity bonus, so it's pretty hefty right now. Attack bonus of +7. And then his sword is going to do 1d8 of piercing damage, but then he also gets a bonus to that too, which is his dexterity and proficiency added together, which is pretty impressive. And then that's going to be piercing damage, obviously, because that's like kind of what those swords are all about. It's the stabbing motion. And then I gave him a note here for a little bit less damage if he is using the sword in his non-dominant hand, just like he does in the story. So if he is fighting with his left hand instead of his right, he will still be pretty dangerous with that sword, but he has a little bit less damage than if he's using his right hand, which he's particularly skilled at. So that's really it, I think, for, and his hit points, I rolled them up to, see here, I have 44 hit points max, and then he takes damage, that goes down, obviously. Oh, and then armor class. Armor class is that base 10 plus his dexterity modifier to be able to dodge attacks. So he has an armor class of 14. Really not too bad. Really not too bad. Again, level 5 characters really start to blossom and can be really impressive characters both on and off the battlefield. He is a fighter. He doesn't use any magic, so I left all of this stuff blank, all of his spells, all of that stuff right there. For languages, he is a Spaniard, so I have him speaking Spanish, and then English as well. And then for equipment, what did I give him for equipment? Pretty basic inventory to start with. Yes, so he will have a set of clothes, just clothes which are graded as common in D&D, and then his heirloom sword that his father made, as well as money. So I don't count this down below with with like the spot for coins. Instead, I thought if you're going to be using these characters in like a multiverse kind of adventure, which is kind of what I'm thinking, inspired by the Time Quangle series on Dimension 20, where they pull in a lot of they roll for random characters, and then the setting itself is also random, and I love that idea. So I thought with doing pop culture, you could do that as well, but having money be kind of an issue that they would have to figure out. Like, what if Inigo got warped into, say, the Walking Dead universe or the Mario universe, something like that, and then how would he spend his 8 gold florin? it's not common. It's not all common money, and they would have to, you know, figure that out as part of the adventure. So I thought I would add that in as kind of a fun, you know, problem for the players to solve. And then rations, I gave him just a few basic, you know, food items. So that is that, though. I mean, that is bringing a pop culture character that people are familiar with, that they love, that they really adore, and making it a D&D character. And there we go. It's just that simple. It only took like 20 minutes. So if anyone has a character that they would like to see get the pop culture character sheet treatment, please let me know. I really enjoy this, and it is a lot of fun, kind of bringing these characters to life in a tabletop setting. So you know, all respect to the original creators too. This is absolutely meant as a celebration of these characters. You know, more, I guess, along the lines of, I guess you could say, parody or satire. And so absolutely no copyright infringement intended here. This is just absolutely meant in a celebration of love for these characters. So please, you know, yeah, comment if you have any requests for other characters. I would love to continue to do this. You'll see more of these on the channel for sure. These are a lot of fun. So, so yeah, Pop Culture Character Sheets, Episode 1. Thank you for being here very much. I really appreciate you watching, and we will see you soon. Please give me a comment, a like, a subscribe, all of that wonderful YouTube stuff. I really appreciate it very much. But all of you, take care, and we will see you very soon. All right, bye bye.